All right, all right. Yeah, going live here at Great Lakes Strongest Man and Great Lakes Fittest. Let me get turned around to here. One-man wrecking crew here today, and couldn't be more happy to be here in Traverse City, Michigan at the Great Lakes Strongest Man and Great Lakes Fittest. Of course, this is the pregame show as I'm looking around, seeing who I can catch. So this is the idea today, guys. This is the pregame show, live podcast, I guess. So I'll do a lot of talking about this event in particular here today, and I think more than likely we'll probably have a half dozen or so people swing on over and have a chat with me. I got into the weigh-ins about 10 minutes ago and told anybody that wants to come down to get on the podcast and say hey to everybody, they'll swing on by. I think George is going to swing on by in a little bit. Just talked to Don from ADL, asked him if he wanted to swing over. He looked at me like I was crazy. The guy's setting up maybe one of the biggest productions. Well, I shouldn't say that he's ever done. He's done some big ones, but this is equivalent to just about the biggest event that he's ever done in respect to the amount of cameras he's using and the length of the day that we're going to be filming tomorrow. Of course, we have the amateur event, which is going to go off first at 10 a.m. Got 150 competitors, all weight classes, and men and women, including novice. Then we're going to swing into the pro division. I think there's 15 or 20 guys in that division, along with the pro men's division, and pro women's division. And then, of course, we're going to be swinging right into the CrossFit event, which is a team CrossFit event, I think, right after that. So I'll be commentating all day with Panda. As many of you know, we made the announcement yesterday or a couple days ago that Don is going to be doing a remote live stream or a remote commentating stream with Big Laws over from England, who's going to come into the Hercules hold, which is event 4 tomorrow. So that's a new twist on ADL Live and what they're bringing to all you guys. And we're going to kick it off here at the Great Lakes Strongest Man, this new sort of layer to live streaming these great events for you, bringing in these outside commentators. So yeah, kind of out of wind. I've been running around all morning to kind of collect my thoughts and just spewing them out to you guys right now. But big shout out to my son, who I know is on this live stream right now and watching this, to Clark Janiga. He is going to be the future podcaster of this podcast maybe someday. I think right now, Clark wants to do a Halloween broadcast or some type of Halloween podcast with his dad. Clark, we're going to do that, buddy. I promise you we will. It's his favorite Halloween. His favorite holiday is Halloween, and we'll get to have some fun with that. So love you, buddy. So yeah, anyhow, out here at Turtle Creek Stadium here in Traverse City, and once again, it's probably the perfect day for a strongman competition tomorrow. 3 years in a row now, George Bullard has been promoting this event here in Traverse City, and you couldn't ask for better weather. I think he's made a deal with the devil or something. It literally is picture perfect out here. It's going to be about 73 degrees here today, maybe 73, 75 tomorrow. Of course, on this baseball field, as I'll swing the camera around in a minute so everybody can kind of take a look, it'll be a little bit warmer down on the field as it is, every year. So it'll be a perfect temperature for these competitors. They won't overheat. Of course, I think many of them are going to be setting up in the dugouts this year. It's kind of cool the way they're getting this event going. Much like last year, they're going to run 4 lanes, and again, I'll swing around so everybody can see that here in just a little bit. Don's going to have 11 cameras going. I think every lane's going to have a camera, so the live stream is going to be produced with 4 split screens. So those of you out there spectating, whoever it is you're spectating outside the main event, you won't miss them. You're going to get a chance to see everybody compete here tomorrow. Along with that, he's going to have cameras positioned everywhere else so you can get behind-the-scenes looks, tunnel walks. George has got some really cool sort of NFL tunnels that everybody's going to be coming out of as they're getting ready to compete. I think logistically it's tightened up enough as far as how they're going to put together the CrossFit, which is going to go behind this here tomorrow, sort of like on the outer outfield into the outer infield. Those events are going to be kicking off. I'm not quite sure how those are going to be laid out yet, but as the day progresses, I'm sure it's kind of going to unfold in front of me here. So yeah, woo, I tell you, so much to talk about. I just jump right back in the fire, why don't you, Joe? I just did my podcast yesterday, as many of you know, and I had a great response from all of you, so thank you for welcoming me back. It's just been a whirlwind of love and support. You guys behind the Gym Life podcast, and I appreciate that. Of course, as I mentioned yesterday, couldn't kick it off any better than coming up to Traverse City and spending the weekend up here for this event that I've been blessed to be a part of now for 3 years. And there is no better promoter in the country as far as I'm concerned. And that is no knock on any of you guys out there. A lot of great promoters, but the way George Bullard does it up here in Traverse City should be a template for everybody. Of course, not everybody aspires to put together a production of this size. Matter of fact, you have to be half crazy to kind of want to do it. But certainly he pulls it off, and he's been getting better and better at it every year. It's great every year. But ultimately what he's doing is he's creating a national type event here up in Traverse City. This year he's got the Traverse City Tourism Bureau on board with him, so future events are going to be promoted through the Traverse City Tourism Board. If you know anything about Traverse City, Michigan, or if you don't, maybe one of the most beautiful places in all of the country, certainly here in Michigan and across the Midwest. We're positioned right here at the pinky finger in the mitt, and that, of course, is part of Lake Michigan and Traverse City Bay Area. Absolutely beautiful. Right up the peninsula, of course, is vineyards and wineries, and it's a bit bougie for some, but, of course, you can drop on down to these breweries and some of the other festivities they got going on in the town, and obviously lots of fun in the sun and fun in the sand up here as well. So it's a year-round destination for a lot of people, and to be a part of this community up here like George is, he's got everybody on board for this event, which makes it really, really special. I think last I checked, he had over 50 sponsors for this event. And that, of course, includes some big national sponsors like Cerberus, Axe and Sledge, First Form, to name a few. These are big, big operations and big companies now that are getting behind George in this event up here, and rightfully so. Again, I imagine we're going to have a couple thousand spectators out here tomorrow, and of course 600 or 300 competitors plus with CrossFit and strongman alike. So again, every reason in the world to consider this one of the biggest events in the nation, and certainly one of the best promoted shows that I've ever been a part of and ever seen. And in having ADL Live here this year is just making that adding another layer to it, making it that much better. So super excited. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock a.m., the live stream is going to kick off. And, of course, Panda's going to be co-commentating with me, or I'm co-commentating with her. She's much more experienced than I am. I'll be fumbling around, relying on her most of the day, I'm sure. But I'll give you some good color commentary. I know a lot of these people that are competing out here, so I'll give you some of their personality, some bullet points as to how I know them and what they're all about, and some backstory on these guys and gals that are competing out here. And we're in for a heck of a show. Certainly that pro strongman or pro qualifying strongman division. Again, I'm not quite sure how that stuff works with USS, but all these guys are competing for a pro card. I believe Jake Harmon, I don't know, we'll have to talk to George. I think Jake Harmon won nationals. I think he gets his pro card automatically if, again, quote-unquote pro card. Not sure exactly what that means, but this pro division is stacked with talent, and that's the most important thing. Taylor Gone, of course, is going to be here. Many of you guys know him out there, not only as a strongman competitor, but he's one of the better coaches in the industry out there. Of course, we're going to have Jake Webb. I mentioned him on the show the other day. He's a perennial contender up here, always pushes Jake Harmon, who's the 4-time reigning champion of the Great Lakes Strongest Man currently. Mitch Hughes, of course, is going to be here, and a plethora of other talented guys, and you're going to get a chance to see them compete after the amateurs tomorrow. And cameras won't be off them the entire time. So we're going to really get a close-up of that part of the event in respect to really getting to know those guys in the way that we're going to present that to you tomorrow. Of course, we have Rihanna Lovelace here competing at the open women's division in the pro class tomorrow, along with Nicole Genrich, who is also the Australia's strongest woman, came all the way from down under to be up north here in Michigan, which is super cool. This show is now international on a big level, not just our Canadian brothers and sisters anymore, but everywhere around the world is now competing here at the Great Lakes Strongest Man, and that's what George always wanted. He wanted to make this an international event, and in year 5, he's finally here, and well-deserved for sure, well-deserved. I'm going to swing this camera around. Take a drink here. I'm a little dry. Try to keep this going throughout the day. I know a lot of these guys are going to be, they'll be finishing up weigh-ins here shortly, so I'll start flagging some guys down just to come on over and chat with you guys. And we'll have some fun with them and get their take on what they're seeing out there in respect to this amazing field. I'm going to swing this around, so bear with me, guys. I kind of did this at the Clash event this year as well, but you guys can get an idea what's going on out here. So I'm in the concourse right now, and this is Turtle Creek Stadium. This is home of the Traverse City Pit Spitters, and this is a beautiful ballpark. This is the 3rd year in a row we've been here. I'm up in the top level of the concourse. You can see sort of the ADL live tent down there. Donna's setting up, and then, of course, the 4 lanes where you're going to get 2 lanes on the first base side. There, the first base line. home plate right in front of me, and then, of course, 2 more lanes, 2 more platforms over here on the third base side, straight out to center field there. I believe the CrossFit event is going to go sort of in the middle of the or back of the infield towards the outfield as these cameras are kind of being set up. As we can see Don way in the background there at the 320 mark, walking the line, figuring out where he might want to set up his cameras and kind of get the best look for all you guys. I'll pan around to the other side of the concourse here. And as you can see all the way down, a great opportunity for a bunch of spectators to enjoy the day out here tomorrow. Beers, of course, will be the beverage of choice. Of course, all the vendors will be here as well. This concourse will be packed tomorrow. The way George set this up, it really is an all-day type of event with a lot of opportunities for people to get to see some great competitions and just be a part of something very, very cool. So, yeah, this is going to transform overnight. Trust me. I'll swing back around here. All right, kind of center up the shot. So George should be over here shortly. I'm going to kind of just keep talking to you guys about what we got going on here tomorrow, and we'll get some guys to swing down here in a minute as everything sort of finishes up with the weigh-ins. So up here in Traverse City, as everything kind of kicks off tomorrow, I believe we're going to have 5 events, which are going to include a sandbag load, 4 sandbags to shoulder, a max deadlift. We're going to have a farmer's hold for the amateurs, and then George, of course, built a Hercules hold, which is amazing that the pro division is going to use, and then, of course, it's going to have a medley as well, and then if there's a press medley. So there's a lot of moving in this tomorrow. Only the big static event's going to be that deadlift, which is going to be interesting. A lot of big deadlifters. I know a lot of these guys pull well over 800 pounds in that super heavyweight class, and as they should. It's a pro qualifier, so ultimately they got to compete as a big boy, being a big boy, and you know the way that works in strongman nowadays, guys. You better be pulling well over 800 pounds to consider yourself top of that class to get up to where you want to be. So we're going to see some cool stuff in that respect. A lot of moving tomorrow. I talked to a few guys in line, and of course, a lot of these guys are cutting weight right now, as many of these middleweights do. So we're going to see how they kind of get themselves put back together. I know last year, some of them kind of fell flat on their face when they tried to do that cut, as many of those middleweights tend to do if they're not used to cutting the weight. We see that a lot more in our sport. So I had a kind of a little laugh with those guys in there about that. So we'll see where they're falling. And then ultimately, we've got a huge novice class, which we do every single year at the Great Lakes. That's the best part about this show, really, because it really offers. Listen, if it's your first show and you're up here doing this show, it doesn't get any better than this. So as far as like being able to do other shows and compare it to what you've been a part of as far as your first competition is concerned, I don't think you can. Unfortunately, you're starting with the best and you're kind of working your way around from there. But what a great opportunity, really. I mean, to be able to compete at this level with the quality of athlete that's going to be here at the Great Lakes Strongest Man. You know, when we talk about quality of athlete, it doesn't get any better than Rhea Lovelace. So to be able to have an opportunity even to see her compete in person and be able to compete side by side with her, what an awesome experience. And certainly being a part of, you know, this sort of pageantry, the spectacle of a strongman competition. It's not too often many of us ever get an opportunity to do that in our entire strongman career. But the nice thing that George has done up here is he's made it accessible for everybody. The hard part is just getting up here, I guess. Being in the tip of the thumb in Michigan is not easy access for most, but as you'll see tomorrow, many of these competitors have come an awful long way, not just internationally, but all around the United States to compete here. And I have a feeling moving forward that contingency is going to grow even bigger. So we're going to get to see a lot of people that come from a lot of faraway places to be a part of what they've seen up here in years past, and talking to a lot of you guys online over the last few days who haven't been a part of this event are telling me, Joe, listen, I'm going to get up there. They're absolutely putting that on my list this year to be a part of that show in future years. And it's not going away, guys. This is going to be, if not right now, it's soon going to be probably one of the most talked about events in all the United States. And I can't say it enough about what George has done up here just to put this together perfectly, not just for the spectators, not just for those who outside of this place who love the sport of strongman that are going to watch it now on ADL Live, but every single competitor that's a part of this show will tell you it's top-notch, 5-star. It's the kind of show you want to compete at. The prize money's there. The prizes are there. Just the gift bags alone that these guys get to be a part of this event exceeds their entry fees. So it's just nice to be appreciated like that. And being a strongman myself and being a part of so many events in the past, past, we can all appreciate that because it's not cheap to do this anymore. And certainly being a part of what you are a part of up here, it costs a little bit of money to get up here, and you got to stay up here more than a couple days and, of course, get ready for these shows. So to be able to get something back from these shows outside of an experience is always a great opportunity. And George makes sure, first and foremost, that's on top of his list. And as a former strongman himself, and sounds like he's going to be making a comeback, he appreciates that, of course, because he's been a part of a lot of these shows. Speaking of shows, I'm going to make this announcement. As many of you know, he also promotes one other show every year. That show is called War of the North. It was a show that I actually blew my tricep out on this year. So War of the North is a show that is a private event. What he does is he takes this CrossFit box, and if you haven't seen the video on it or go back and watch it, I did a little really crappy live stream, honestly. My apologies. It was very dark in there. But the way George sets that War of the North up, it's like a dungeon, essentially, a medieval dungeon. And boy, when I say medieval dungeon, guys, it's literally like the backdrop that he built was amazing, and the lights and the smoke and everything. To be a part of that event was pretty incredible. He just made the announcement today that War of the North is it open for entries, George? Not yet. Speak of the devil. Here he is right now. Sit on down. Grab that microphone. Come and have a chat with me. Whew. Man, you working hard out there?
Listen, if I sit down, I might fall asleep.
Let me get you in the frame here. Scoot over a little bit. We're live TV, so this is the way it works. Yeah. Sit right there. Yep. Let me adjust this.
Yeah, get the money here.
Yeah, get the money shot. There you go. There we go. All right.
Perfect.
Oh yeah. I know I'm out of breath, and I'm not even working hard.
There's
just so much to talk about. I know it, right? I know there's just so much to talk about. The first 10 minutes, of just getting on this live broadcast is just looking around and just being overwhelmed by everything that's going on here. And I'm not even the damn promoter. I mean, how are you even keeping it together, man?
Well, first off, I want to take 10 seconds to say that I'm overwhelmed by seeing you here. I miss you. I've been trying to keep in contact with him. He's been so busy. Life happens. I know, and life happens with me too. But I'll tell you what, not hearing your voice all summer was a huge absence. So having you here and, having you be a part of this and hearing your voice going to be in commentary tomorrow is just a blessing. So thank you for being here.
Well, I wouldn't miss it for the world, and I, my shit's back in a pile, so everything's good. So I appreciate the love and support, of course. And like I said to everybody on my podcast yesterday, this is a perfect way to make the comeback. So super happy to be up here, man. This couldn't be any better. And I say that every year. Can it get better? And it gets better.
Yeah, I'm kind of running out of my bag of tricks. Actually, I take that back. There's more bag of tricks.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
There's more bags of tricks. There's more stuff to talk about. But you know what? I can't give it all. I can't give it all yet. I just like to give a little bit, and then I tried to over-deliver. I wanted to make the announcement for War of the North today. That's something that I've had in my back pocket for so long. I've been wanting to tell people about. But this event right here, right now, is what really kicks off my year. And you're thinking, wait a minute, this is the end of the year. And it's like, no, this is it.
Yeah.
We start the year for us, and as soon as this is over, we start planning the next. We start planning the next year. Like, I already started talking with Kendall, already started talking with the wife. We start going. And I really am blessed, happy that we have all the people that are involved in this. It's amazing. Like, people look at me and they say, hey, he's the promoter. I can't do it without all the people that they show up randomly all the time. Sorry, this is live TV. He can wait a second.
Yeah, that phone's going to be dinging all day, I have a feeling, especially this day prior. Well, you just said it. I mean, you're putting together an event that everybody wants to be a part of. I know it's always a struggle to find good people to help you, but it seems like you got this army now that's behind this show. Familiar faces I see every year now, 3 years in a row. It's the same crew. They know how you operate. They know how they need to make this look. You're not out there doing what you've done the last 2 years, telling everybody what you want. It's getting done exactly how you expected it to get done because this crew's been with you for so long.
Well, it's not only that. I take a lot of the tips and all the pointers from everybody. Everybody has great suggestions to it. But, some of my friends here, I've known, Mike down there is helping zip stuff down, and him and I went freshman year of high school together. I married him and his wife. I have the Wests that are here that I've known since 2007. You know, and I don't know. It's so awesome. It's so nice to have all these people that, you know, just show up year in, year out, anytime during the week. I mean, I had friends that showed up this week randomly that were like, "Hey, I had the day off. What do you need help loading?" Like, I'm not used to that. I usually load.
Yeah.
I usually during the week I'm loading all week. I took over as a manager on my nursing unit, and so I don't have the time that I normally have. And people really stepped up to be like, "Hey, like, we know how crazy this is. We want to make sure this goes off without a hitch," and they helped me out.
Well, let's be clear. This isn't your full-time job. So to be able to pull something like this off in between the chaos of being in your new promotion, of course, being a nurse and being a manager now, and then, of course, 2 kids at home, you know, holding down a household. Well, I shouldn't say that. Tracy will be out here soon. She's probably the perfect partner to have behind the craziness, the madness that is George Bullard and this promotional stuff.
Well, my wife, there's nobody better than my wife. I don't care. Anybody that wants to say it. I might think that I'm great or people think that I'm awesome or whatever. I don't. It really comes from my wife. I just come up with great ideas, and she's the one that gets behind me and just really pushes me on that. But to add to that, nobody's crazier than my wife. So in order to deal with crazy, you have to be crazier than crazy. And, I mean, we have the 2 boys under the age of 5. She's pregnant. She's a microbiologist working full-time. I'm a nurse manager working full-time. She did do me the favor of, you know, on the busiest week of the year, decided to sell her car this week. So, yeah, that's another aspect of it.
Right.
But she's always there. She's supportive, like, and just she pushes me, and she knows when to tell me, like, "Hey, you're not doing enough. Like, you can do better. Like, you can get this." And then she knows how to reel me in. Sometimes not soon enough, but
Right.
she knows how to reel me in and tell me, like, "Hey, you're going a little overboard."
Well, I had a great chat with her last year, and there's definitely a little touches of your wife all around this promotion for sure. As I've gotten to know her over the last couple of years, I listen. You couldn't do it without that type of support on all levels. We talked about the volunteers that you have and the friends, and of course your household and your family and your wife. Your brother-in-law is here. I mean, this is a family event. This is a Bullard family event.
Yeah, it's great, and that's, you know, I try to highlight that on the day of, is just to say, like, I really look at this as a small thing. I look at this as a dream, as an idea, and then I was blessed enough to have all the people in my life to make that happen, and it's unbelievable. It really, once you get here, you see it. It's breathtaking.
Really.
And now all the little added things that we have to it, and they're big added things. You know, having ADL live here. By the way, if you have not gotten your live stream yet, if you're not going to be here tomorrow, mind you, tickets are available on Iron Podium. Go to Great Lakes Strongest Man. You can find them there for $10. You'll be here at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
And that's a lot of content for $10, by the way.
Ton of content. That's 3 shows.
3 shows in one, yes.
3 shows. We'll have Traverse City Whiskey Company. We'll have their stuff open. We have concessions open. You know, we may be giving some stuff away. You know, you're going to see a lot tomorrow. You're going to see Australia's strongest woman who just set the world record on the Atlas stone load. You're going to see, you know, Rhiannon Lovelace, like, bananas, 137 pounds and
strongest person on the planet, pound
deadlifts
for pound.
over 600.
Yes.
You know, they all made sure, they told me yesterday, I met up with them yesterday, they made sure to tell me that they were all stronger than me. And, you know, usually I'll talk shit back to somebody and I'm like, nah.
No, you can't. You concede that.
Right,
you concede that every day of the week.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's talk more about that, because, you know, the idea behind this show, when you first got behind it, you know what, this is really the 5th year of the show, 3rd year here at Turtle Creek, if I'm not mistaken. I've been here all 3 years now. Did you ever consider it would go international like that? Because, you know, I'm really talking a lot about that over the last couple of days, that you're talking about Australia's strongest woman and England's strongest woman. And, of course, we have other now national competitors coming from all corners of the United States, including Canada. I mean, did you ever consider that this show would be that big? Or did you ever envision it to want it to be that big?
I never thought it was going to be that big. But I will say that I always knew that I was going to try and do bigger and better every year. So I've said it before, if whatever comes in this money-wise, it all goes back into it. So it's whether it's the prizes, whether it's bringing in more implements, whether it's, you know, perfecting what the floor looks like, you know, now being able to bring in ADL Live, you know, as a live stream service, that's awesome. And now we have Big Laws that's going to be talking.
Oh, I know,
there.
right? Yeah, how fun is that going to be?
There's so much. And so I think if you go and you take your product and you build it, you obsess about it. That's what, people talk about, how the people that are really great about doing things, you obsess about it. Well, I think about this and I just obsess about it for an entire year and throw in all my efforts at it, and people recognize that. So
yeah, and that's true. It's a testament to the hard work that you put in to build this show. I mean, listen, the pageantry of it, the backdrop here, the location, it really checks every box. And over the last 3 years, you've tightened up this production logistically enough. And by the way, probably get more sponsors on board than any show I've ever seen or been a part of. I think you're well past 50 sponsors for this show, last I counted. And we're not just talking and to no knock on any small sponsor, but you've got Axe and Sledge on board, First Form, Cerberus, to name some of the bigger ones that people are more familiar with internationally. And that's no easy task. But those companies, too, recognize the quality of show you're putting on because they don't put their name behind everybody. That's got to make you feel pretty good. It certainly helps you cross those T's and dot those I's a little bit financially to give that back to everybody else.
Yeah, I never thought that, you would have those relationships with those kind of businesses. And then we were looking at, like, all first place. So it's novice all the way through the pros. They're getting First Form gym bag full of supplements and T-shirts and everything else with that. Those bags are worth anywhere, I think, somewhere between $500-$600 worth of stuff for every single one. And then that goes to Great Lakes Fittest too. And that I have to give a testament to Brad Giglio. He really worked on his marketing. He's the one that is running, him and Josh Holton are running the Great Lakes Fittest. So they are really connected in with their nutrition business as well as CrossFit, connected into a lot of businesses and marketing. And it's also helpful being CrossFit that you're able to open the door. Well, what they did, and I'm very thankful for all the competitions we've had prior, is they showed all the content of all of our strongman competitors to bring in these, and they were like, wait a minute, this is happening here? Like, we want to get on board on that. So that's why, content, and I'm speaking to promoters as well too, is do something, little thing every single day to get it in front of these people. Like, once they view it and see it, and it's just like, well, wait a minute, I want to be a part of that. They're always looking for shows.
And you've mentioned that. We have candid conversations throughout the months and weeks as we lead up to this show, you and I just talking, just sort of chewing the fat a little bit, and you'll make comments to me sometimes like, I can't believe that I'm not soliciting this stuff now. People are calling me to be a part of the show. I mean, geez, Pete, that's every promoter's dream come true. And you've had a lot of that this year, probably more this year than you've ever had in the past.
Yeah. And it's great. And I don't want to say that I turn sponsors away, but, later into the show, like later in getting closer to, we have to, and a shout out to Byron Pettigrew in Forward Inking. You're wearing one of the shirts that we have today. Yes. I'm wearing a hoodie and a hat and everything from them. Just the graphics, everything else that they do business-wise there, they start seeing the show that is being put out there, and then they're like, hey, can I jump in on this last minute? And I'm like, I can't expect them to, like, last minute start printing this extra stuff. Mind you, they normally do.
They always come through. Yeah.
But I really, as big as those sponsors are, I really can't do it without, I don't want to say my littler sponsors, but the strongman community that supports it. I mean, like, I think of, like, Collins Custom Homes. Like, he, not only did he give a bigger sponsorship to this too, but he was here at 6:30 a.m. Him and Nikki, Craig and Nikki, thank you, showed up this morning ready with their tools, ready to start building all this stuff. Like, we wouldn't be this far ahead if it wasn't for that. Abby Sears-Patowski, and she's with Century 21. She was with Cultura last year, so they were the presenting sponsor last year. She came in and she's like, I want to be a big sponsor too. Like, I love this. And she was here first thing today. She had gotten a serious car accident a couple weeks ago, and she was like, no, like, I can't miss this.
It's funny, sometimes when I'm I go out of my way to promote this show because obviously I'm loyal to it. It's one of the greatest shows in all of the country, but certainly in my home state, I'm very proud of it and proud of you and what you do here. But to try to convey it, like, people don't want to believe it, but that's a perfect example why they need to get on board with this show every year, nationally and internationally. Now it's because these people literally come out of the woodwork to be a part of this show, and they don't want to miss it. What they're going to see out here tomorrow, I can't wait. And that's why I'm so happy that ADL's here, because really now we can say, this is what you're getting. This is amazing.
Yeah, and you're going to get to see all the candid things that are happening on there, and we have a lot of characters. I mean, you can look at it from the little promo videos that we were putting out yesterday, and we'll put some more out today, is we got some characters here. There's some battles that are going to happen here, but it's the biggest thing that I wanted to show from the start of this, and I told you this. What did I tell you from the very beginning? I want to show the camaraderie here.
Yes.
There's no better friends that you'll ever have, a better community than you'll ever have than the strongman community. And I met with Panda yesterday, and Rhiannon and Nicole and Andrea. And, you know, even Panda was saying, she's like, I love my Michigan strongman friends. She's like, they're a different breed.
Yeah.
Like I can think of anybody that I would need help from and who I could call and who would be there at the drop of a hat. I can call my closest friends. Yes, they'll be there. But if I ever called one of my strongman friends, like, there's no doubt that they'll drop what they're doing to be there in a moment's notice.
You know, it's a testament to the culture that was built here 20 years ago. It really is. I go back on that, you know, being a little longer in the tooth like we both are. You know, we've been a part of this community in Michigan now for 20 plus years. It really is the foundation of all these athletes coming up, and how a lot of these guys that have been around so long represent. I really believe that, because they're still being a part of it. And we talk about Dean and Josh Swisher making it back again, and I hate leaving him out because he's been around forever as well. Aaron West coming back to be a part of this show every year. Of course, Justin Blake, I think he's on the list, right? Of course he is. He doesn't miss it. These guys support year after year after year.
You know, and they're awesome. You know, you throw Jake Harmon out there. You know, you think about it. Like, I remember coming up as a novice with Jake Webb. Like,
Right.
I remember being there as a novice with Jake Webb in Mount Pleasant, doing King of the Mountain with him, and
Fountain of Youth, what's going on here? Some of these guys, you're right, they've been competing very long time.
And I'm just sitting there like, man, I can barely move. Mind you, I will say, I have never hurt more and been in more pain than being a promoter. Never doesn't. Oh,
well, the comeback's still going to happen, though, right? Is that still on the table, or
we'll see. I've had a lot put on my plate this year, and then, you know, in order for me to keep doing what I'm doing, I got to be conscious of what's going on, and it's not from shy training. I've been training all the time, every day.
Now, you're a good strongman, but you might be a better promoter.
I am 100 times better promoter than I ever was a strongman. I mean, I was a pretty good strongman. Those laughing right now that are watching,
you were, listen, in all fairness, yes, you were above the halfway point. Yeah.
You know, if we had the opportunities that strongmen have today,
absolutely,
it would have been way different.
Absolutely.
It'd have been way different.
And just the knowledge, right? The training knowledge, and the idea that you can program strongman now compared to the old days when you just kind of did implement Saturday, or, you know, strongman Saturdays. That was really all we did.
Well, now there's companies that sell this stuff. You know, we had
to make it. Sure.
Yeah, we had to make it, or figure out that guy that we knew that, like, could barely weld, or something like that. That would, you know,
or one of us would become that guy, Aaron West.
Yeah, you learn how to do it.
Right.
I mean, and you know, that's what we did. And you know, now having all the equipment, it's just like, man, you'd think you would train all the time, man. After I get done putting that stuff away, I don't want to touch it for another year. Yeah. But my wife and I, in order to, you know, keep the time together that we can, you know, we're up at 4:30 in the morning. We have a full gym in our basement, and we get up at 4:30 in the morning, work out before we have to be to work.
Well, you know, it's Fountain of Youth, man. You got to keep the body. Motion is lotion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it works. But, you know, talking about equipment, talking about the way guys train nowadays, talking about the longevity now that you see in the sport, generationally speaking now, with a great masters class. We have a big one here tomorrow as well. And it really kind of shows on a show like this where you have 150 plus competitors. And one thing I always point out every year about the Great Lakes Strongest Man is the novice class is always huge. And that just shows you how our sport's growing. But more importantly, it shows you the accessibility of how these guys are able to get out, train, and want to be a part of a production like this. And by the way, to start this as their first show, I mean, geez, where are they going to go from here?
Well, and so this is the thing that I've always said about it, and I talk with the promoters here in Michigan, is, you know, we all want to have our core strongmen that are going to be here, and strong women. They're going to be at your comps. We have to get out there and build our sport.
Right.
We're not going to get the sponsorships behind it. We're not going to get the attention behind it with the same people doing it. I know that sounds weird, but we really have to get it out there and, you know, cater to them a little bit. And I hate to say it because, some people will say, oh, it's a money grab to try and get, a bigger show going or like get all these novices in there. Not what's happening. How I'm going to be able to keep Great Lakes Strongest Man going 10 years down the road.
That's right. Yeah.
Is all these people that are starting right now, because they're going to get that. And the best I ever did in strongman competition was being around the people that were good and seasoned at that.
Yep.
I remember it was his name, Dave Lipman, I think it was.
Lipman, yes.
Yes. He's the one that taught me how to do a yoke. I'd never touched a yoke going before an event, and I got there. I'm like, how am I supposed to carry this damn thing?
And you still get a lot of that. Yeah, absolutely. Because there's only so much accessibility out there, but you still get a lot of that. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you the tips that he gave me, but it worked. And I ran so fast with it that I sent it into the competitor tent.
Yeah.
So it was, that knowledge base that you're going to get, you're not going to get anywhere else unless you hire that coach. Yeah. Being there on the field, watching these people do what they do and excel is where you learn.
You can't say it enough about the experience of competition. You can train all you want. You can use all the implements you want and have all the best programming in the world, but nothing replaces being in competition. There's still a learning curve there as well. And that's why I love seeing these novices here, because I encourage all of them all around. I say, go do a competition. Don't worry about being good at it. Go do it, because you're going to pick up more from that one competition than you will a year's worth of training. And we see that every year out here, because the interaction between these athletes, as you previously mentioned, there's just such a great camaraderie in our sport in general. But what we see here is really something special.
Yeah, you can't let that go. You can't let that go. I mean, and I love the opportunities that are happening. First off, like you have your official strongman games, your PSL, all these bigger events. But don't waste I see some of these people that will come in and they'll do a novice show or a regular show. They'll place first there, and then they automatically think that they're going to go to these bigger events, and they're wasting time on that, and they're wasting experience. The experience that you're going to have, the knowledge base that you're going to get, is by doing it, being here, and perfecting it. We have some people that will take 1 year and they'll just start into strongman. They'll do 2-3 events, and then they'll take a year off so that they're thinking that they're going to go to the official strongman games. And it's like, okay, you're going to go compete against, Nick O'Hare or, some of these others that compete 7 times in a year. Right. And are just a well-oiled machine at the end of the year.
Yeah, there's something to be said about the experience of competition for sure. Absolutely.
If you're doing it right, you're leaving competition like it's no other training day of the week.
Matt Little's a perfect example of that. I talked to him earlier. How you been? Oh, great. I haven't trained strongman in three months, but I'm here. Because you know what it takes to get the job done. I mean, your strength's not going to go away, providing you're at least doing something to maintain it. A guy like him with the experience that he has, there's no intimidation at all. Let's get in and get it done.
Justin Blake.
Another example, sure.
I mean, Justin Blake, back when I started back in 2007, he was a pro competing at 210 pounds, competing against the super heavies, beating them. And he would still come in. He could still come in against the super heavies and probably maybe beat them or get up there in there, but he's not training strongman all the time.
No.
I mean, he's doing that or drinking infant blood. I don't know, something, whatever keeps him youthful.
He is. It's crazy, and it's gonna be fun to see him out here tomorrow. One of the more soft-spoken guys in the sport for sure. And always, I always want to do an interview with Justin, but I'm afraid that he'd just tell me like Jake Harmon does. That's okay. Speaking of Jake Harmon, by the way. 4-time Great Lakes Strongest Man champion, and listen, there's something to be said about that. His competition over the years, everybody's came, everybody's tried, and everybody's failed. All kinds of excuses in the world. I get all that. And maybe some people didn't show or some people should. It doesn't matter. In the end, smoke clears. Jake's always walking away with the title belt. This year, however, maybe as stiff as competition yet.
What did I say? And I'm going to remind you of this. What did I say when I announced this? That this is the 5th year. Never were we supposed to have the same open champion. So I put a bounty on his head.
You did, yeah.
I upped the belt, okay? We upped the ante. We're bringing in cash. We're bringing in the sponsors. We put that bait out there to try and get these animals that are out there that, we're looking for a competition that they're
And what's
going
that
to have
bounty
to take
this year? What is it officially?
They're getting $1,500.
$1,500.
$1,500. I mean, I think total and package with everything that we're giving people. We have belts. I've not just the title belt, but they're getting, athletic belts. They're getting supplements.
So on top of that, they're getting everything else.
Yep. Yeah. They're getting, stuff from Obsidian Ammonia. They're getting stuff from Cerberus. We're literally dumping into them. I mean, they'll probably end up with around $5,000 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done. but I don't want the same open champion. So we put it out there. We asked for it. We wanted the Bloodhounds. We wanted everybody. We wanted everybody that's sniffing for competition, anybody that wanted to take him down. And they're coming.
Yeah,
they're coming.
How big is that class right now? 15,
We're
I think?
at 16,
16
right
okay.
now.
Yeah.
You know, we got Mitch Hughes who won this past summer. He won Central.
Yep.
Went to North Americas. He's a monster. You know, we got Corey Loper, who's homegrown here, that's going to be, you know, putting up a show. Tyler Thompson comes every year. We have, you know, Taylor going. I'm scared to see.
Really
going
to be interesting to see how he does
Logan
tomorrow.
Money
Yeah.
is big presser. I mean, I can keep
And of
going
course,
down the line.
well, let's not forget his nemesis, Jake Webb.
I was
right?
saving
Yeah.
him. I was saving him for the end. So
Yeah.
every year,
Yeah.
I never bet on Harmon. Who do I always bet on?
Webb every year.
And
yeah.
I'm not betting
Yeah.
on Webb this year, just so hopes that he
Right.
beats it.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to say it. But we needed a change. You know, we're going in. It's a different era right now. So I wanted to give him the biggest challenge. And you know what? If he comes out on top, who's to say he's not one of the best in Michigan?
Well, I think this is honestly the title. This really is the title shot. Jake has proven over the years, including nationals, by the way. Let's not leave that out. Winning nationals this year. He's one of the best strong men super heavyweights in the country. You beat him in Michigan. You were the champion of Michigan, period. You know, you own the title, and this is the show you do it at. So, yeah, you're right. The athletes that we have coming up now, the opportunity to make a little money if you can beat this guy. I don't know what other incentive you need in the backdrop of Turtle Creek Stadium, of course. I want to talk about something else real quick because I don't want to leave out the CrossFit. I really don't, because we've seen it now at Rogue Invitational, of course. They've led the way with kind of conjoining two sister sports, essentially. We know how close CrossFit, a cousin to strongman or vice versa, is. What was the idea behind that, and how did that come about? Was it always a part of the thought process? Because I know you came from a CrossFit facility here in Traverse City. Was that kind of always in the conversation?
Well, with CrossFit, we really wanted to just add a feminine side to Great Lakes Strongest Man.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
Am I there? Hold on.
Yeah, I think you're here. Yep,
Are we
you're good.
back? All right.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Brad's Brad's there on the side, so I had to take a shot at it. No, you know, if all right, so I'm being summoned everywhere left and right, but I got to jump on this.
Yeah.
You know, they were nice enough to bring us into their gym back when I was there, when we had our strongman group there, and you know, we held events, we held seminars, and you know, with the interest that they had in our sport, I had just as big an interest in what they were doing. You know, I hated that people would say would not CrossFit of anything lesser than in a really elite sport.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I can do strongman. I was a really good strongman then, and I would go jump in CrossFit, and I would get smoked,
Yeah.
and I would feel like I was going to throw up the rest of the day. And I would go, did the strength piece. Everybody would sit there and like look in awe at me. I would go into the actual WOD, and I'd be sitting there crying because I'm like, man, forget these.
Yeah, it's a different animal altogether.
But what it's done is it's catered to every generation. So like our sport, you know, you have a window there. It's getting a little bit older. It's getting older there where we're able to do it. But you know, they are able to cater from the youngest to getting into the oldest competitor, and it's by having all these people, all the coaches that are just getting certified, keeping up on their certifications, working on their technique. You know, it's really commendable, and that's why it's grown the way it has. And you know, the thing I'll say about it is Brad and Josh, you know, they've always been huge supporters of everything that I've done, vice versa with them, and I've always wanted to see their gym grow. And you know, there was a point where they started to kind of outgrow us a little bit too, and so you know, we had to take a step back and just be like, okay, you know what? I don't want to be a hindrance to what you're doing here because the community here is growing big. But after the first Great Lakes, after we did that, it'll be, of all these Great Lakes, I love them. They're always mean everything the world to me. But the first one that we did, the energy, like how we were able to pull it off logistically, everything, it was like I couldn't have done it without those guys. And at the end of that show, I said, hey, we are going to be back next year. We're going to have strongman and CrossFit. And then COVID hit. So it didn't happen, but we still perfected what we were doing here. And after last year, you know, they were both here and helping volunteer. And at the end of it, it was like, okay,
It was
time.
brewing. Yeah, it was brewing for a while then. Yeah, and obviously what we're putting. And Brad, Brad, I'm gonna get you in a minute. Okay, I want to talk to you. We need to get on board with this CrossFit stuff. I got to make up for what he's not helping out with. Yeah. And I need to get familiar with it too, by the way, because I'll be commentating that a bit tomorrow. And yeah, I'll need some cheat sheet for sure, man. Yeah, okay. So we'll talk to Brad here in a minute as well. But yeah, what a great event. This is going to be awesome tomorrow. I don't have to tell you that. You've been a part of it now for a few years. First and foremost, what you've put together out here has been amazing. This backdrop, this location, again, you check every single box with this show. Now with the athletes, international competitors. Of course, everybody loves the show. It fills up within about a month and a half every year when you post it. War of the North's coming. Let's talk about that real quick. Second year War of the North. I didn't do a good enough job on that damn live stream, but I think everybody understood what you did there with the pageantry and backdrop of War of the North. When is that going to post officially, and when's your entry going to start rolling in for that?
So we made the announcement right at weigh-ins because, you know what, I always got to throw something out there.
Yeah.
It's got to make it a little bit interesting. But the entry to that is going to happen tonight at 10 p.m. So 10 p.m. is your chance to sign up for War of the North. We are limiting, again, to 60 competitors. Each competitor gets one spectator ticket. It's a nice just intimate show because we are going to come loud. It's going to be more energetic. Last year was awesome.
Yes.
This last year was awesome. It was incredible. Ever since I stopped it, I was like, I could do this. Even though this almost killed me, I could do this every single weekend. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was a party for sure.
And we're coming back. And it would be in February, but my wife has to go and have a kid in February, so we're pulling it off in January. It's going to happen January 20th, and it's going to be at CrossFit Due North. We're going to bring the castle back. We're going to bring Leland Lodges coming back with their smoking. We're going to have food.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
We're going to have drinks.
Yes.
We're going that whole
It's adult only,
bit.
21 and over. Let's be clear.
21 and
60
over.
spectators, 60 competitors, a very intimate setting and a dungeon-type atmosphere. I can't even explain it. Of course, your videos will start doing that for me here shortly. But
yeah, so we're bringing that back in, and the things that we were able to tighten up on, from last year, we're going to tighten up on for this next year, and of course, I've got surprises.
Oh, I know you will, and you probably won't tell me till you like to tease me with those all year, actually. So I'll be waiting for.
I don't even know if I'm going to do that. I don't even know if I'm going to do that. There's going to be
I've got spies now. I want you to know that.
There's
so
going to be some wild announcements. I have one huge one. I have one huge one that's going to happen at War of the North that literally only one other person knows about, and you won't get it out.
I'm just going to start making stuff up on the podcast and holding you to it. Well, George said this. George said that. I'm just going to get in your mind. See, I know you well enough by now. I can kind of guess some things that are going to happen, but you always seem to surprise.
He has no idea.
I'm sure I don't.
Hey, man, it's
all right.
great
Get out of here. Yeah, go get to work. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again.
Brother.
All right, let's get Brad over here. Stacy, you want to get in here as well in a minute? Okay. Oh, okay. Brad, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Oh, good. This is exciting, huh?
Yeah, it's exciting, stressful,
yeah,
amazing, all the things.
Well, listen, your CrossFit box is CrossFit Due North, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you've been around in Traverse City now for I don't want to guess. I'd say probably better than 10 years, anyhow.
I have been personally,
Yeah.
but our gym has been. We're finishing our 7th year.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I've passed by you many a time. My mom lives right off of 8th Street, so
Oh, awesome.
yeah, I'd walk by your shop all the time. It's funny how small world, right? All of a sudden, I'm competing there, and you're here, and you're friends with George and everything else. How did this? George kind of gave us a little backdrop of how this all came about. But this is an official CrossFit event, isn't that right?
It is. It's it's a certified license event through CrossFit. So like our biggest thing is, Josh and I are really believers in like the methodology of CrossFit, just how the way it goes. And we're not talking about like the competitive aspects of it, because the competitive aspects of it from like a CrossFit Games perspective
Right.
is outside the range of 99.999% of people.
Yes, right.
But really,
right.
like the idea of moving multidimensional. Very, in my opinion, it has a lot of grounds very similar to strongman, where it's like do odd things in different directions to really challenge your body in a way that's safe, but is going to be very relatable to life.
Yeah.
Right? So, for us, like that was a big thing, and I've known George forever, and we love him, and he's always been a part of our gym, and kind of like what he alluded to in terms of like us growing and needing more space. we always had a space for him in the back, and it was one of those things where, it was a weird conversation, but at the same time, it was like a positive, fun one that we're like, hey man, like, what do you think? He's like, honestly, I'm growing in my profession. I'm doing this stuff, and when it came time to do Great Lakes Strongest Man, we're like, look, yes, let's do it for sure. And I mean, we had, I can't remember if there's like 100 competitors. We had like 400 or 500 people in that building.
Right.
It was nuts.
Right.
The energy was insane. And then ever since then, he's just upped the ante even more. And we had talks then of what we were going to do with the CrossFit competition. So truth be told, we had the idea of doing strongman and CrossFit before Rogue did the strongman CrossFit.
Yeah,
like
well,
real deal. Like real,
right,
I'm not
right.
saying that. Like,
no,
like real,
I believe you.
Like
yeah,
real deal.
yeah.
But because the communities are so similar in terms of like
Absolutely,
how they
sure. One
support
funnels into
each
the
other.
other all the time.
How
Yeah,
they support each other. Like the way things are presented. Like the climatic aspect of it. The kind of like odds and ends of it. So there's just a lot of parallels there. So when George came to us, we're like, of course.
Yeah.
And, we lost our opportunity with COVID and all that kind of stuff. And then the gym was growing. We had to focus on that, of course, because we wanted to do it. But
yeah, timing is everything.
yeah, from a monetary standpoint, in order to really do it right, like we wanted to do it. And then when we talked about this last year, we have the opportunity as a business to bring in someone like ADL Live.
Yeah.
Where now
Right.
we can present this stuff in a much more productive way that we are now able to pay George back for the things that he's done for us, just in terms of like location and the energy and like how we're able to be involved. So it just started to all really fit together the way that we wanted it to.
Well, and listen, talk about jumping in with both feet. I mean, the backdrop here and the way this event is going down. I mean, this isn't just some local CrossFit event now. This is a national or international competition.
Yeah,
I imagine your contingency of athletes is coming from everywhere to be a part of this.
Yeah, and we have quite a few people. The timing of it with school definitely killed a little bit of like where, like the larger draw that we wanted to get, but at the same time with it being like our first year, we're exceedingly happy with all the we have people come from Illinois, Indiana. It's a little bit more of a regional,
sure,
with a ton of like international and nationwide exposure with the strongman stuff.
Yeah.
Luckily for us, we have like a lot of relationships in some of these areas, and realistically, I can't allude to too much, but really in the future, we want to expand that very much like what George has done.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I mean, we're fortunate enough to where we have some like relationships within like the CrossFit community that we have the opportunity to build on that. Hopefully within the before the end of the year, we'll be able to talk about that a little bit more. But with like the CrossFit Games leaving Madison and kind of like losing that touch within like the Midwest.
Yeah.
Outside of like a few like really nice like I say local competitions, but like regional size competitions, we want to be a part of that.
Well, uniquely, you're set up here in Traverse City perfectly. I mean, this destination, right? I mean, it has all the intangibles to be able to put your ideas and George's ideas together or separately into a really big sort of dream, because what Traverse City and the backdrop of this community provides is a destination.
Yes.
Having an airport, right?
Yep.
Easily
Yeah,
accessible.
easily accessible.
I mean, it really, again, I've said this over and over again, it just really checks all the boxes to be able to be that event if you so desire to put, that type of dream to the idea.
Totally. And it's and George and I mean, my business partner Josh, who's actually right now he's at home with his little girl. But I mean, George and I, when we got on the phone, we're both like ideas guys.
Yeah.
So like it was, I mean, we a 10
That can get you in trouble, can't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
a 10
boy.
or 15 minute call would
Yeah.
turn into 2 hours of hey if this or hey if that, or what if we did this, and oh let's get tunnels and we can do smoke and lights, and like sounds good. And it's really, I mean, him and I have had conversations about how can we take this idea and platform and even project it out even more to whether it's a multi-day fitness festival and all in bringing in local power lifters, whether it's through the high schools, like the idea of bringing in like high school and like actually allowing them to hold like a sanctioned event for themselves, and like really trying to like play that entire like fitness circle and bringing it into like one spot where everybody can like truly like just like appreciate the venue, but at the same time really get to see like all the different points of performance that fitness itself can do, and how it brings people together. So like there's a lot of pieces that we're really hoping to grow with it, and it's going to be really cool. This for us is just a starting point, and if you know me, I don't fucking do anything small. I'm like George. It's like, okay, once you
let's go big or go home up here. It looks like. I mean, that's just the way you guys operate. And it's so nice too to get Traverse City on board, because and I forgot to mention this or chat with George about this, but you versed in it enough to know having the Traverse City Tourism Bureau on board with this.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that's that's a promoter is dream come true essentially, because ultimately now you're becoming an event that the city is going to promote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I mean, for us, like having there's been points of performance that we've gotten in terms of like TC Tourism. I have some relationships with people in the larger brand industry that are around fitness, First Form,
Yeah.
you know, O2, Fit Aid, like a lot of like these international companies that encircle fitness, and be able to tie it directly to a local component and be able to help not just present these things to our athletes and to our spectators, maybe that they haven't experienced before, but at the same time linking some of those things to some of these larger international impacts to something that is as down home as TC Tourism, where
Yes.
we have all these
Yeah.
components that are just fit together nicely, and it's just like it was one of those things where it's just like you got to take your shot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I say luckily enough for us, I mean, we worked really hard, of course, but to bring it together to where, you know, all these things are tying very well to one another, to where it's going to just be an amazing event across the entire board.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, man. Sky's the limit, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
it really, you can't outgrow here. That's the beauty of it.
Correct.
You've got a lot of space to get as big as you guys want to get with
Mhm.
the events. Listen, I'm going to be commentating this CrossFit
Yeah, yeah.
now. Panda, of course, my co-commentator.
Yes.
You may have a chance. You may have already met her. She, of course, does CrossFit. So
Yes.
I'm going to lean on her heavily, of course.
Yeah,
I
good.
might just stay on the more
You'll be
lighter
good.
side of
Yeah,
things.
you'll be good. We
I
got
feel
this.
confident.
Yeah, you'll be
I've
all right.
watched it enough, and I respect the sport enough, because ultimately it is a sister sport of strongman. It feeds into one another, and I will even give credit to CrossFit in changing some of the dynamic of strongman more recently. Certainly with Rogue, and even some of the events now, they're much more moving, not as static anymore.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
we said
certainly CrossFit now, as we've seen on Rogue in their big event they throw every year, it's getting, the weight is getting up there. I mean,
sure.
we're not talking about
No.
this pressing now.
Yeah.
I just keep going back to that Danny Spiegel log. Of course, I love you, Danny Spiegel, but in any case, that's
right.
a beautiful thing to watch.
It is,
But
right?
it was a 200 plus pound log, for God's sake. So
Yeah.
now we're into that.
Someone who's never touched it before.
Exactly.
Possibly.
We're into that strongman type weight now, and we see a lot of that from CrossFit more and more and more. Is the sport really pushing the envelope now? I mean, do you go wow like I do that with strongman a lot when you see these feats of strength and athleticism now in CrossFit?
I do. I think, I mean, for me, having been around George, I was introduced to CrossFit. My dad and I used to watch CrossFit all the time, or not CrossFit, Strongman, excuse me.
Yeah.
Strongman events, you know, on ESPN when I was little growing up, and you just watched these monsters of men. I met Bill Kazmaier, watched him bend a pan, like I got to shake his hand. I thought he was going to break it.
Right. Yeah. Truly.
You know, so it's like these people, and it was kind of like very much like a niche, just like CrossFit was a niche. But luckily enough, over the last 12 to 15 years, CrossFit has got a lot more, you know, in front of people.
Yeah,
and because
I'd say.
because they respect what strongman as a collective brought, they started bringing those implements in. So you started seeing more strongman stuff going on, and people were like, oh, like this, there's use to this. And then we started to see more production again around like strongman events, or even smaller stuff where it's like a little bit more local, or in like ADL covering things. And it's the same thing with like Olympic weightlifting. It's always been there. It's not new.
Right.
But you expose like a whole new demographic of people to it. So now it's kind of like this ripple effect.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
And I mean, it's, for me, I think adding strongman implements to CrossFit has made the methodology more sound.
Yeah.
Because everything that we would do was so linear. Like there wasn't a ton of like multi-planar based structural components to it. Like it was always a bar. It was always hanging from a bar. It was either a lot, you know, like a lot of like frontal plane type stuff. Like it wasn't like a lot of transitional work where you would see these different things like bending and twisting and grabbing and squatting and, you know, getting something to your chest and having to hold it and brace your back and breathe into something a little bit more directly. Like that wasn't there. Strongman directly influenced, so the ripples are now going in both directions.
Oh, for sure.
And you see it. I mean, some of the best events at the CrossFit Games are 90% strongman implements.
Yeah.
The pig flip, the last year where they did the Capitol, where they're carrying these jerry cans and they're doing the Husfeld stone up the stairs, like 100% strongman. They ran 3 miles before that.
Right.
But-
Let's be clear.
but
Much
that's-
more athletic.
yeah,
Yes.
But
right.
but
right.
that's but like that event would not have been what it was without that pure just move heavy shit from point A to point B at the end of this thing after doing a little bit of conditioning, but that it wouldn't be what it was without that. And that's what I love about the two right now is that there's this direct play off each other, and one is pushing the other just as much.
Well, and that leads me to this event and how the evolution of it. It really had to happen. I mean, it was like it was meant to happen. You know, to be able to combine again two sports that are really playing off each other really well now, because the crowds are appreciating it on both sides,
For sure.
being able to introduce one to the other. And of course, we get so many athletes from CrossFit into strongman, and now it used to be, we're getting a lot of athletes from CrossFit into strongman. What we're seeing now is a lot of strong men and women are using CrossFit now, kind of in the other direction. So it's really kind of an interesting dynamic that's taking place. That honestly, I feel like I'm 10, 15 years too late. You know, I mean, I really would have loved to be in the heart. I know, right? We're getting long in the tooth here, but anyhow, this event tomorrow is going to be amazing. I know you've got a lot of work ahead of you. I can't wait to see the way all this is going to be set up, particularly on the CrossFit side of things. I see George's vision, because very familiar of the years past, tightened up a little bit. But how this is going to play out now in the infield and outfield out there, I believe that's where most of the CrossFit's going down, right?
Yes. So our goal was to literally utilize the entire stadium. Right. From a visual standpoint, people who do CrossFit go like, oh, here's the thing. We wanted somebody who doesn't know anything about CrossFit to be able to come in and go like, oh, this is what's happening. Like when you're watching a race, like you can tell who's winning. Like it's very, you don't have to be a runner. You're like, oh, that guy's in front. Got it. So for us, we want to play off the spectacle of being up close, outfield. Up close, outfield. So like you'll see events where we're literally using like the whole outfield in and around the stadium, coming back in, giving people like that feel of, you know, entering kind of like this coliseum of like, you know, this, like this embracing like this idea of like almost like a gladiator, where it's like all eyes are on you, right? And then we're bringing it close for some Olympic lifting complexes where these people are going to be pushing really heavy weights and they can't let go of the bar. And then we're going to take it back out in the field, and we're going to do a worm implement, which is going to be literally utilize the entire outfield. But again, very much of a race structure where you can physically see where people are at. You can cheer for your person because you know where they're at visually, if they're trying to catch up or if they're behind or whatever the case may be. So again, very, very spectacle-like. And then we're bringing it back in for the very last event, which is going to be an assault bike workout and a dumbbell snatch where both count for a score. So you're going to see people full send.
Awesome.
Full send. You're going to watch people be sprawled out, breathing, trying to catch air at the end, because literally if you are in podium contention and you rock this last event, you could go from nothing to all in. Right. And I mean, in first form and the prizes that we're doing, we very much mirrored what George has done in the past. I mean, our winning podium, like our top people are probably getting anywhere from, I haven't done the math on it, but cash prize on top of all the things that we're getting. I mean, this is going to be sitting around $2,000 each, and that's with a 3-person team. And then on each step on the podium, it comes down a little bit. But, I mean, we want it to be like, oh, my God. I told George, I want people to feel bad. I literally want them to feel bad for not coming. I want them to be like, damn it. Like, why did I hesitate? Like, I want them to have full regret because it's going to be that awesome.
Yeah, and I have no doubt.
And I say that lovingly.
No, and I take it that way because you're right. I mean, I say the same thing with the event that George has done now the last couple of years. I mean, it's now become an event that's literally filling up in about 6 weeks. And I've gotten comments from everywhere around the country. I'm not missing this next year. So you're building, again, a competition and a destination that I think everybody's going to want to be a part of. You sprinkle some cash money on that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you know, not at all. It helps out a lot. Well, listen, Brad, I know you got a lot ahead of you. We'll be talking more behind the scenes, of course. I'll be picking your brain a little bit before the competition tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
And then, of course, hit you up for a few beers after.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Brad. All right. All right, guys. Boy, that was I couldn't think of two better people to interview with the pregame show here. And maybe we lost a lot of the competitor side of things here today, but that's okay. Listen, most important people to talk to were Brad and George, of course, because of the type of event that they're doing out here. Again, I can't say it enough. What I'm a part of out here, and certainly honored to be a part of out here with my 3rd year in a row, is watching a spectacle grow, and this is a spectacle, make no doubt about it. When it comes to now integrating CrossFit, the official CrossFit, not just a side competition type thing, but at the level these guys are doing this and where their starting point is, really truly a starting point, right? 3 years into this event, we're really turning this into an international event now, one that's going to be highly desired by a lot of people to want to participate in it in one form or the other. Certainly from a competitive standpoint, we know the prize money at this show is getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. And the beauty of this is it's all cyclical. I mean, as this show gets bigger and this backdrop gets more finely tuned, certainly up here in Traverse City as the destination point, the type of things they're doing now with live streaming with ADL, now more and more people want to be a part of this, which means more and more sponsors want to be a part of this, which of course makes everything that much bigger and that much better. So it's a perfect recipe, the template that they put together here. Again, I sound like I'm being biased because, you know, George is a good friend of mine, and this is in my backyard, essentially 3.5 hours north of me. I am not. This competition could be anywhere in the United States, and I would say the same thing about it, no matter who would be promoting it, if I saw what I'm seeing out here today and what we're going to witness out here tomorrow. It's absolutely an amazing competition, and one I know in future years is going to resonate with the world, essentially, with CrossFit and together with Strongman now, just like the Rogue Invitational. Of course, that's always a tale that's tough to chase, that having that type of resource through Rogue, but certainly it's a template that's based loosely off that, which is wonderful. And what we're going to see out here tomorrow with what Don's going to do with ADL Live is going to be amazing. 11 cameras again. I had spoke to Don earlier. I actually asked him if he'd come up and join me, and of course he looked at me like I was crazy. I've got too much work to do, and I should know that. I've had the privilege of helping Don out on several big events, including the Arnold Classic this year, and he'll be busy from now until dark and back at it again bright and early tomorrow morning to make this happen. So get on that live stream. It's worth the $10. And of course, as you guys know that are out there that love this sport of CrossFit, love the sport of strongman, are supporting somebody, get other people on that broadcast as well. There's not, again, I want to reinforce the idea that the more people we get involved in these sports, the bigger these sports grow and the bigger promotions like this get that we all love to be a part of, whether we're behind the scenes or not. So anyhow, boy, I tell you, I started the morning off with about 2 energy drinks too soon, I think. I've calmed my heart rate down a little bit. But it's hard not to get excited about this event out here. It's hard not to get excited the minute I walked in this concourse to remember the type of event that I've witnessed personally for the last 2 years, to know how big this event is and how special it is to be a part of this. And again, to watch these great competitors that I can't wait to see. And hopefully I'll run into a few of them at dinner here tonight, and then a few beers tomorrow night, of course, as well. Guys like Taylor, of course, and Jake and Ree and Luke. And I can't wait to see Panda wherever she's at. Panda, where are you? I thought maybe you'd be out here today, but I'll be texting you here soon, and we'll get together because we got a lot of pre-work to do to try to figure out how we're going to deliver a great broadcast for you guys tomorrow, certainly on a commentating end of it. I'm looking forward to that. Again, a little bit nervous about the CrossFit, but you guys know me. I'll figure it out one way or the other. It's certainly going to be fun to watch, and I'll be commentating that like a spectator, not only learning something new about that sport, but in awe of the athleticism I'm sure we're going to witness out there tomorrow. So anyhow, not sure how long this has been going. Hopefully some of you guys are with us here today. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to be watching this as a recording, which is fine. This kind of thing is just something I want to bring to you guys to make sure that you guys get the full effect of really what's going on here. And I talked about this on my podcast yesterday, that one of the biggest things that I want to do this year is be doing the same thing at all these events, not just doing podcasts for you and monologuing, but getting to these events on a raw level, on a level that allows me to get behind the scenes and talk to these people that are making all these things happen for you guys, including a lot of these great athletes, on a very candid level that I can get in conversation with prior to these events, and then do a really fun sort of, fun post-event type of thing as well in the future, whether that's on my podcast or maybe at these events moving forward. So next stop, I'm hoping, Lynn Morehouse, if you're out there listening to this, is getting out to OSG this year and trying to replicate maybe a little bit of what I'm doing here at the Great Lakes. So again, guys, I got a lot of great ideas moving into this year. I appreciate you joining me here today. And of course, moving forward, we're going to have a lot more fun as my year, August to August. Remember, I do it from August to August. This is my 3rd year now podcasting the Gym Life Podcast. And this is going to be the biggest and best year of them all. And I'll be a lot more consistent for you guys, and I'll be able to throw a lot of content out there for you. Hopefully that you'll enjoy, not only from CrossFit, not only from Strongman, but of course our entire lifting community abroad. We all love and support one another. So I hope even you bodybuilders and you powerlifters are out there watching this, support our sport in Strongman and CrossFit out here today as much as we're going to support yours. And I will certainly, as the Gym Life Podcast, moving forward. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to a lot of you guys as well. So thanks for joining me, guys. I'm going to move over, shut this podcast off. And if you got any comments or questions, that sort of thing, get a hold of me, DM the Gym Life Podcast on Instagram, and I'll get back with you, of course, right away. Thanks, guys. Peace out. Stay strong.